Welcome to the Six Figure Business Mastery Podcast, where every week, Kirsten and Jeannie dive into the essential topics to fuel your business growth. From copywriting to course creation, mindset to video marketing, they've got you covered. Tune in for expert guest interviews on all things marketing and business, and learn how to work on your business, not just in it. So, get ready to unlock your business potential and take it to the next level.
I'm thrilled to welcome a guest who's not just an expert in their field, but a fantastic storyteller, a best-selling author, a coach, a speaker on a mission to help leaders clarify their ideas and harness their unique story to make an impact. She was a founder of Nonfiction Book School, an accelerated author program, and her background includes ghostwriting for a Nobel Prize winner in medicine and leading as executive editor of Sam's Club's Healthy Living Made Simple, a publication that reaches about 11 million readers. Her best-selling book, co-written with Ron Price, is Growing Influence, a story of how to lead with character, expertise, and impact. She's also the host of Beyond Better, a podcast that explores how to create a business and life you love. And today we're going to talk to her about location independence and entrepreneurship, nonfiction book writing. So welcome, Stacy. That's a lot of accolades that you have and a pretty hardy subject. So welcome. We're excited to have you on the podcast.
Thank you. I'm so excited to get to join you again. I loved our last conversation, so I'm thrilled to get to do round two.
We have so many of our clients who want to write a book so that they can be the authority, the expert in their space. The same reason, they have embraced video marketing. And so I think this topic is just so important and so relevant right now.
Yeah, it's such an important piece. And I think it feels so big.
Well, it seems for someone like me, who I'm definitely not a writer, it seems overwhelming. Like it just seems, how do I write a book? How do I get it published? Do I put it on Amazon? And then I guess in some ways it really boils down to, as a business owner, is writing a book really going to help me scale my business? And I know the reality is, yes, it will. So I guess that's the other thing, is like getting into really understanding the importance of it as far as your marketing goes and how it can really help you grow your business. Maybe that can help you get over all of those other kicking the can down the road reasons.
We talked a little bit in our last conversation about the journey of authorhood. So anybody who hasn't listened to that should completely listen. That was such a great conversation with the two of you. But I think we could extend that. Other thing that writing a book helps with in regards to business growth is that a lot of people find that they grow completely new revenue streams out of their book, or through the journey of writing a book. They uncover what that next right step is for their business. But certainly it's also a platform amplifier. It's a thing that you can send to potential clients. So if you meet with somebody that you're really hoping to work with, that day you can get a book in the mail to them, that it's part of that kind of nurturing that you can do. It can help get you in front of audiences of your potential clients. It can amplify you as the person. You're the person that wrote the book on it. So there's so much we could go in 100 different directions on how a book adds value to a business. But I do want to just anchor to that piece of the actual creation of the book grows other aspects of yourself and enables growth of other aspects of your business, simply through that clarifying process and that journey of writing it.
Yeah, we knew a couple of people who, after they wrote their book, they got speaking opportunities, and they had never really intended to become public speakers. Like that was not on their list of things to do, but those opportunities came to them. So again, that gave them an opportunity, like you said, to get in front of other audiences. They started getting some paid speaking gigs, and they realized that they really loved that too. So I can see where it can definitely open other doors.
Yeah, it's interesting because I get a lot of people that come in my program, especially sometimes my one-on-one clients, but a lot of people that come into my program and their goal is, I want to write this book. I know I have this mission, message, story that I want to share. And I don't know exactly what's going to come of this, but I definitely want my family to read it. They start to think beyond that initial scope and start to think, maybe I could do this. Maybe I could do that. Like it expands your universe a little bit. And speaking is a great example. It's especially if you have aspirations for the keynote stage, it is the keynote stage ticket, right? Is having that book.
Yeah, that's so amazing.
Yeah, we have a client actually who's a law firm, and they have a book that they purposefully wrote so that they could they were the ones who wrote the book on their specialty. And so it's an amazing marketing piece that they use when people contact them and say, we need to know more about what to do next. Well, let me send you a book.
We can maybe start with the bad math that people do. And that math is, okay, my book is going to take this much time and cost this much money. How many books do I need to sell to make back my investment? That is absolutely not the right math to be doing. Sure, you can do that if you want to do that. But what you really need to be thinking about is, what opportunities will this open me up to? What places can I get into that are harder for me to get into right now? So what this book should be doing is it should be helping you get from point A, where you are today, to point B, where that big vision is. For some people, that might be more than one book. This might be the right book for right now to get them to the next stage. Maybe there's a next book in 3 years, 4 years that they write. That's that next catalyst book that gets them to the next stage. So I like to think about, what is this book going to open up for me in revenue opportunities and business growth, not how many books do I need to sell? Because I think that's also really small thinking, right? It's not actually expansive and abundant thinking.
That is so true, because then you're kind of like micromanaging. Well, if I'm going to earn $3 on each book or $2, is it really worth my time? I'll have to sell this many books. And you could really talk yourself out of it using that math.
Yeah, absolutely. I heard a story a colleague of mine told on her podcast recently, and she was talking about how her last book that she released, she did a promotion of sorts where if you bought so many books, she would come and do a fireside chat or some kind of offer to that organization. So 25, 50 books, I don't know what the number was. And she did that, and she got brought into this organization for this fireside chat. And she was introduced at that fireside chat to somebody who would become a more than 6-figure client of hers and work with her for many years after that. So sometimes there is something about coming into a room in a different way. You can't go to an event as a speaker. It's a very different experience than going to an event as attendee. You go to that room as the expert that wrote the book that's here to do the fireside chat. You are viewed very differently than if you're attending it and you happen to be sitting next to this person that could have this amazing business opportunity. So some of that I find so interesting when we're thinking about ROI and abundance and opportunity.
Yeah, it's the big picture thinking, right? It's not. And I think sometimes we're afraid to think that big, right? So what if I did write a book, and what if I did get all these great keynote speakers and what speeches, and what if I did end up meeting all these amazing clients? I think there's some fear that comes with that, right?
That's terrifying, right? I think that's scarier than failure for a lot of people, because the other part of that, and I know I've had to work through this myself, is if I fully go after my dreams and my goals and I fail, then I'm really a failure. But if I only go in halfway and I don't reach my goals, then I just didn't try hard enough. I could still do it. So I think there is that piece of it where so many of us hold back. We don't fully lean in, because fully leaning in and giving it all we have and being brave and all of that stuff, it is really scary if it doesn't work out. What I've found is that 99 times out of 100, like my worst case scenario is not anywhere near what actually happens. And at the same time, I've also had so many failures in my business. I've been in business for 14 years, so tons of failures along the way. But those always on the back of those failures, there's always a better alignment or a new opportunity or growth or all of that on the other side.
I think that's so true for every business owner. If you haven't failed, like you said, you're not trying hard enough, or your dreams aren't big enough, right?
Yes.
Because if you have really big goals and really big dreams, and I think that's what gets us excited, is something really big. And when you play small, you just kind of putzing along, right? And I think that you lose that energy and that momentum of manifesting what you really want and having those great opportunities come into your lap, or being brave and stepping out and writing a book. So I think it is like that big vision, and just realizing that it is scary and you are going to fail, and it's okay.
Yeah, there is so much to that. We read a book, maybe you have a book that you love, or, for me, I try to read very well written books, right? Like, because I'm in this world, I like to absorb those types of books. And if I were to compare my first draft to these books that I'm reading, I would never publish anything because, well, first of all, they're not even comparable. This Pulitzer Prize winning novel went through revision after revision sometimes over many years. One of my favorite books was written over a 10-year period. I'm sure he had multiple revisions throughout those 10 years. Nonfiction should not take that long. Let me just clarify. It really should not take 10 years. But there is so much to that development, and there's always opportunity down the road, especially for revision. What I do want people to think about is that actually the planning process is very important when you're writing your book for a couple of reasons. One is you want to make sure that we talked about that catalyst book. You want to make sure it is the catalyst that you want it to be, that it's lining you up from point A where you are today to point B where you want to go. And it's in that trajectory. It's helping you get there. It should align with your broader marketing efforts. It should align with your core message as a leader, as a business owner. So all of those are really important, and you define those before you begin writing. The other piece that's really important is that a good, well-planned outline, a good book is going to set you up for success in the writing process. It's going to ensure that you don't get down the road and have a structural mess and a lot of unnecessary revisions. So you're looking to vet that structure and really create a plan that will enable you to write, so that then down the road, surely you'll need editing, because we all do, but it'll be the best use of your energy and time when you get there because you've done that pre-planning.
Yeah, and you do talk a lot about the right book at the right time. So do you have people come to you with one idea in mind and it ends up after a conversation with you a little bit of a different direction because the book that they're talking about is not the right book at the right time? They need to do something before that book. Do you find that happens often?
Yeah, what I find frequently is people either have many ideas. Sometimes I'm like, wow, you are an idea person. They have this and that and this. So sometimes we're finding the pattern in those ideas, or we are temporarily jettisoning some ideas and holding a couple in consideration. A lot of times, and the reason I use this phrase, I hear people say, well, in 2 years, I'm going to have so much more to offer this book, or in 5 years, then now you have the skill. Now you can do it again if you want to. And sometimes people are like, you're crazy. I'm not going to write another book. Well, I will say most people about 18 months after they finish their book, 18 months to 2 years, come back to me and they're like, I'm going to work on book 2. I'm like, I knew that was going to happen. But I think that piece of just understanding that you don't need to write the ultimate book on everything. You need to write to the reader who typically is just a few steps behind you. And I think that's a really important piece, because otherwise there's always more to accomplish. And then your knowledge, and actually sometimes the place you're in right now, you will not ever be there again. You can't capture this moment again. So I think there's an opportunity cost when we wait in so many ways, but that's one of them.
Yeah, I can see that being so true.
So if you're using a book for your marketing efforts, is there a risk of it not being interesting enough?
That was an interesting framing, but you're right. Like a boring book, basically. And actually, years back, I had somebody contribute a guest post on how a book can wreck your brand, because the point was not, actually, I do think that boring was one of the points. But yes, absolutely. I think that people forget one of our core needs as human beings is to be entertained. I mean, think about how much time people spend on social media and Netflix and all the different things. And that actually scientific research shows that people remember stories many times over how they remember just simple data and facts given to them. So certainly integrating storytelling, your nonfiction book should also have a narrative arc to it. So sometimes what that means is that you're evaluating information load. So there's an arc to how you kind of ease the reader in and build the kind of information load and then kind of ease them out. Sometimes you're focusing on an actual narrative arc of a personal story that you're telling. I call it a memoir with a message, or in the industry, we call it a marketable memoir. Those are the kind that you could pivot into thought leadership or keynote stage that's maybe tandem to your business, but it's building you up as a thought leader that then supports your business growth. So for sure, those are super important. I think story is one of the most undervalued things in nonfiction, because people are like, oh, it's nonfiction. And I'm like, yeah, but if you want people to read it, they have to be entertained. And we see, and just as a broader marketing conversation across platforms, that storytelling is what captures people. It's what brings them in. It's what gets them interested in you and helps them feel like they know you and they want to work with you. So I love that question. And I love how you added the nuance to it. Don't you think that could also apply to all marketing? Right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I think that storytelling definitely in your video content, your blogging, all of that's really important. And yeah, just like you said, we have short attention spans because there's so many things to watch and social media and Netflix and all of those wonderful things. So if your video isn't entertaining, if it isn't interesting, if you're not telling stories, they're going to bounce off your video and go to someone else's video. And I think that's hard because initially, most of us are not great at being entertaining. Like we don't really think about it that way. Or sometimes we don't think when we're creating our content to have stories in that content. So yeah, it's very important to keep the viewer engaged with your content, is sharing stories, sharing the mess up, sharing the funny things, sharing the things that are happening. And also for us, we share a lot of client stories, and I'm sure you have so many wonderful stories as well. And it just seems like we have so many amazing clients that are in so many different industries. And so they all bring a different perspective to marketing and to being a leader and a manager with their virtual assistant. So it's always interesting, in my opinion. I'm a bit of a nerd.
Stories are everything. And it's interesting because hopefully this will be helpful to somebody who's working on their marketing right now.
Jeannie and I, we both love teaching, and we both tend to be, joke is that we keep everything more close to the vest, or are we just really boring? So not really sure which one of those two it is, but yeah, definitely bringing more stories in and just sharing more of what we've got going on. So we're trying to get better about that every day, just trying to be more open and sharing. Because again, we always say this to our clients, but when you're creating video content, it's educational content. Every single question your client asks you means that there's somebody else probably needs to know that same information. So that's probably a great video, right? Just educate on that topic of whatever the question was. And I think it's the same for us when it comes to stories. We don't always think they're relevant to other people, right? Or we think that, oh, well, it's silly, so I won't share that. Or, oh, this is normal for everyone, so nobody wants to hear it. So I think that's kind of things that we say to ourselves. Do you agree, Jeannie?
Yeah, absolutely. All the time. Just think, oh, everyone knows that. And then you talk to someone and they're like, oh my God, I didn't know that. And sometimes, like you said, it's not the big things. And that's what Chris and I, we like to teach all of the things. We want you to know everything. And oftentimes they just need to know the important things or the relevant things.
Start there at a place where you can get that, like, some wins and some consistency. I mean, I think you both have such charismatic personalities that you're able to bring into your content. And I agree with you, because this was my challenge too, why I wasn't seeing the results for the effort, because I'm a teacher as well. I was actually a classroom teacher before I started my business, high school language arts. So that's my anchoring, is teaching. And so I always wanted to get on and I'd be like, here's 5 things you need to know about book publishing, or like, here's a step-by-step process for editing your book. Or it was very detailed, and I put a lot of time and energy. It's a double win.
That's amazing. Yes. And I think as business owners, we're always putting ourselves out there. We're always very vulnerable. Like, are you going to get a negative comment on your video, or somebody to say something really nasty about your picture in a social media post? And so I think we just have to realize that if we really want to help people, we really want to serve them, we do have to put ourselves out there, and we just have to accept the fact that there is going to be some negative, because that's just how people are sometimes, but it doesn't reflect who you are or what you bring to the world. In fact, I think when you put yourself out there knowing that's the risk, it says to me that you really want to help people. You really want to serve them. You really do want to have an impact in the world, because you're willing to be vulnerable and you're willing to sometimes set yourself up for abuse, unfortunately, in this day and age. But yeah, I think there's magic in being brave. There's so much magic in just being brave.
I love that. And you said something that I say a lot actually in my work, which is it's not about you. And that is so freeing. I think I see this a lot with the authors that I'm working with, when we really can shift it off of myself and my insecurities and why did I decide to do this book, and I'm not a good writer, all these things that we do in our head. That's totally normal. And we start to think about, I am serving. That's what I'm doing with this book. It's about my reader. So I work with people on defining their one reader for their book and getting crystal clear about that. Bonus is that is often the persona for your business as well. So that's a really great clarifying activity. But when you make that real and you take that focus off of yourself, that's a really great hack for giving a talk too, because it is sometimes terrifying to stand in front of tens or hundreds or more people. But when you get up there and you're like, it's not about me at all.
Absolutely. But it's so worth it, right? Marketing, writing a book to help you market your business is an incredible investment in time.
I 100% endorse that message. Yes.
Awesome.
Excellent. Well, Stacy has very kindly offered to provide all of you, our listeners, with a free tool. It's called How to Create an Influential Author Platform. So it's a detailed step-by-step process to build your influential platform that will help you reach readers, grow your influence, impact, and income. So we will put that in the show notes, a link to it. So thank you so much, Stacy. And it's always a pleasure to have you here. So I look forward to having you back again.
Thanks for listening to the Six Figure Business Mastery Podcast. If you enjoyed listening to this episode and you are ready to leverage video marketing on all online platforms, or maybe even start your own video podcast, then you need to check out the Done For You and Done With You program at themarketingvaadvantage.com and take your business to the next level.